States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Minutes of previous meetings been read and accepted by the supervisors.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make it, I'll make a second.
Those that were here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll do the treasurer's report and then we'll bounce to you. Treasurer's report.
Receipts since last meeting, $80 was collected from zoning permits, $400 from sewage permits, $6,344.67 from delinquent taxes, $743.90 from 2019 taxes, $1,538.60 from real estate transfer tax. I also printed out the budget for half yearly from January through June, the budget update, and I also printed out the investment account expenditures we did for the repairs, building repairs, and
So you
machinery
separated it.
repairs separately.
Okay.
I have to exclude those from the actual budget.
Correct.
It shouldn't be part of the budget, so
Correct.
in the next meeting, I'm going to incorporate that.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to skip around here a little bit. Penn State Cooperative Extension, Jack Boyle.
Thank you very much. I'm Jack Boyle, a council member of Penn State Extension, Pike County, and I've been asked to offer a very brief description of the extension and its mission and work in Pike County. Penn State Extension is your local resource for Penn State University research-based programs. Programs focus on education and sustainable strategies for individuals, families, businesses, and municipalities. Priorities include economic development, youth leadership, such as 4-H, healthy eating and nutrition, tick-borne illness, master gardening, water quality and natural resources, as well as community outreach, addressing issues that matter to all of us. We have some excellent information on the front table that I hope you'll stop by and pick up and take home with you. I know it's going to be of interest to you. Meanwhile, we hope you will reach out to us at our office on Broad Street. Been there a long time. We hope you come by, and we're looking forward to speaking with you and see how Penn State Extension Pike County can be a true resource for you. All right, so that's basically my pitch. I hope we'll see a lot of you. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle.
Thank you.
Penn State
Do you have a
Co-
question?
Do you remember Joe Stale? No? Nobody
really?
remembers Joe Stale?
I do.
I do.
He's my neighbor.
Was he?
Mr. Staley, yeah.
Okay.
He was awesome.
Thank you.
Can I
Be
just
sure to
ask-
come by though.
Oh, do you have a question?
And take it away.
Dad?
if you
Dad?
remember,
I think you have one question.
I don't know.
The first guy who
Extension.
Oh, what's it?
He might have been there when they formed it.
Every county in Pennsylvania has a extension.
Right.
Are there directors in other parts of the county, of the state, in the Master Garden program that are paid employees? Or are they all volunteers?
I believe that there are. I can find out, if you give me your contact.
Well, that's okay, I can stop.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure there are.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, there's paid and volunteer both.
okay. I'm just
That's my
curious.
understanding.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
it's a great program, something I know a lot of us take advantage of. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute, one more question.
Yeah, one more.
Listen, you used to go around to the state, I know you gave classes there. Do you still do that? Do you go to the townships, give classes for ticks and
Absolutely.
first aid and everything else?
We have some wonderful educators in so many different areas. Water safety, tick-borne illness. I took advantage of the water safety one and then had my water at home tested. I'm so pleased when I came up really good. They were very good quality at home. But, you know, really, so many different areas, you know, that the educators, I think you took advantage of.
92 of them, 92 credits I had from them because they gave so many classes, and it was excellent. I was just thinking of the township and the township employees, you know, they could go through some of those classes.
I would love it if you would take advantage of some of those courses. We have some wonderful educators, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Night, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
Hey,
Okay, Roadmaster.
we're working on some ditch lines, doing some brush cutting. We're up on Shakopee Road now on the dirt portion. Trying to grade that up. We had some millings given to us, so we're gonna be hauling that up, spread that through the worst section of that dirt portion of Shakopee Road. Tomorrow, our paving contractor will be here. He'll be paving portions of a couple different sections up in Pine Acres, a section on the old Weenagle Turnpike, and a section on the Moon Valley Road. So he should be done within the next 2 days with that.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary, I
Anything?
have a question for Gary, please.
Yes. Name,
Gary,
please, name, physical residence.
Splendora, Chippy Cole Road,
Yes.
Milford Township. Gary, the gas company's putting in lines up on Forster Hill Road and Chippy Cole. Do you have any idea how far they're gonna go?
There's a couple hundred feet up Chippy Cole.
That's it?
That's it.
And they're done, pretty much.
They're pretty much done up on Chippy
It's
Cole.
all borough stuff, right?
No, that's part of the township.
Chippy Cole?
Yeah,
Good remark.
yeah, Chippy Cole's township. Yeah, they did do a pipeline. They did a new gas line up through the woods up there too, to the house way in the back.
Not on Chippy Cole?
But just below that, you'll see where they crossed Foster Hill and went up through the woods with the
Oh,
gas line.
yeah.
That's where the old one was, so that's where it was at. And they had a little trouble going up Chippy Cole because of the pipes and stuff in there. They broke a water line up there on Foster Hill.
Anybody else for Gary?
Well,
No?
just a question, Gary. I always thought,
Name,
Milford,
please.
oh, I'm sorry, Peggy Emanuel, Milford. Gary, I always thought Milford Borough went up to as far as Chippy Cole, and then where does it stop, the Milford Borough?
Yeah,
where
I have that same
Milford.
misconception.
Milford Township
Township.
line goes up the left-hand side of Foster, starts down at West High Street.
Oh,
Going up the left-hand side is Milford Township, the right-hand side goes up as far as where Betty Herbst's house used to be. And it started Milford Township on both sides of the road.
Gary, it ends at my property, and that field was a Santos field, that's Milford Township. And then Chippy Cole.
Well, the alley in the back up behind there, that's paper alley, is the township line action because
Right,
Eddie Ryman's,
Elderberry, right,
yeah, Eddie Ryman's house is in Milford Township.
right.
His front lot's in Milford Borough.
Yeah, I learned.
That's the easiest way. I know you're in the borough.
Anybody else for Gary? No? Zoning. Is there anything on zoning? No, nothing on zoning? Public comment period number 1. Any public comment? No public comment?
About anything?
About anything you want to speak about?
Well, I have a question about the proposed zoning.
It's comment period, go ahead.
I apologize, I'm sure you've gone over it, but maybe I missed a meeting or I've forgotten. What is the chief benefit for the stakeholders of Milford Township, people who pay taxes and live here? What is the chief benefit of that zoning?
Well, one of the benefits, and I won't speak about this a lot because we're going to have a public hearing on it, but rather than getting $10 a year, we'll probably get $10,000 or $15,000 a year on certain pieces of property because they're either in the Farming Act or they're in Clean Green. So therefore, you will get a windfall of taxes.
So our taxes, township taxes will decrease, is what you're saying?
I've always said I would never raise taxes, never did, and keep them stable, and if you can go down, go down. Okay, last year we did bank $72,000, but we spent some money. Gary had some issues with some trucks, and we updated the township building, all the lighting, everything's been updated. So I think we spent about $10,000 or $20,000. But if there's enough money in the budget, or in the savings account, which was dwindled down, that's when you reduce taxes, okay? Our taxes are not expensive. The most expensive houses in Milford Township pay about $325 in township taxes. The average is about $175 for the houses. So they're really not that expensive. Each tax value is $28,000. So we're at 10 mils, so just times it out, okay? Like I said, there is a value there. And you gotta remember, services go up, maintenance goes up, everything goes up. So you wanna be able to cover the maintenance factor. You never ever wanna raise taxes. because that goes against everything in society, okay? You want to live within your means. I can't go to my employer and say, hey, look, I'm sorry, but this went up and now I want more money. It doesn't work that way. So my personal agenda has always been never raise taxes, live within your means, in which we have done. Anybody else under public comment? Yes.
Is the township going to be part of the conversation as far as the urgent care closing in September?
The urgent care...
I know that it's in Milford Borough, but it has a direct impact on our populace.
It has a direct impact on all of Pike County, and from what I got that call about 4 weeks ago, believe it or not, and I couldn't believe it. They're pulling the x-ray machines out, they're pulling everything out. They're pretty much a done deal. The thing now is the county commissioner should be seeking out somebody to get in there, because there will be no more urgent center. So the county commissioners, I would think, are probably on top of it. They have been looking at other services like paralysis, we all know that. So I'm sure that they are looking at it. As far as us, whatever we could do, yes, absolutely. If you're saying, hey, look, you know, sign this letter or whatever to get these people in from Westchester, of course, no brainer, because we really need that. We're one of the only counties without a hospital.
We are
We are the only county? Okay. I remember McKean didn't have one, so they must have got one.
We're the only county now.
So there would be a direct concern with regards to potentially increasing population if we don't have adequate
Well, the problem is our
medical
population
services?
has been declining, has not really risen. I think that Mr. Seacrest has gone over the numbers. Even if we did the outbuild here, we all know it wouldn't even match what we've already lost. I think what they look at is dollars. How much can they make? Let's face it, everybody's making the dollars. So it must be they weren't making enough money, so they're pulling out. So the next people coming in are going to be the same way. Well, how much can we profit from being there? It's kind of sad, but that's the way it is.
Hadn't the urgent care decreased their hours and services prior to this closing? My understanding was they used to have longer hours and they decreased their offering over a period of time.
Because it's not a true urgent care.
Right, I think that was
And
one of the
that's
shocking.
one of the problems that was hurting them, because they were charging like an outpatient through the emergency room, and a lot of insurance companies were not picking it up.
Right, so that had
That's
been an
what brought
issue
them.
probably for over a year or
That's been a couple of years since
Couple of
they
years.
changed over on that. I've been told, I don't know how much truth to it, that one of the doctors is gonna go downstairs. He's gonna run his family practice there, and there should possibly gonna be a couple nurse practitioners that are gonna be taking walk-ins, is what I've heard.
Very cool.
There's a couple of doctors who are there still doctors working at the urgent care, or have they all been
Well, that's
abandoned
another,
back?
now they're there, and that's another reason they're closing the urgent care, is because they can't get doctors to work into it. They just don't want it.
Okay, anybody else under public comment? Yes, name please, physical address.
Fred Weber, Milford Borough. A couple of questions. Well, one comment. I am taking this as usual, so complying with the Sunshine Act. There we go. So one question I have is, you mentioned services will have to go up if you pass this amendment.
I never said services will go up. What are you talking about? I said services always go up because.
Yeah,
maintenance
services
people
always
want
go up. So what does that
raises.
mean? They go down? You just said they
But not-
always go up.
But not due to any,
Of course
not due to that. Okay.
Listen,
I just want to get that clear.
Yeah, you got that real clear. That's clear as mud. But let's go back. Now, who covers the township as far as police?
The state police covers.
The state police, and the borough as well, right?
The borough, I think we had 28 calls last year. We've got the.
Borough only covers us when there's an emergency requested by the
Right.
Pennsylvania State Police.
Okay. So if we open this up, if you pass this amendment, the state police, I mean, I've had conversations privately, they're way out. I mean, by the time they get here, it takes them a long time to react. So you're gonna need the borough if you have more people coming in. Now, are you paying anything to the borough for their service?
No, we don't pay anything to their service, and we did do a right to know on what their calls were. A couple of them were trees down, a couple of them were potholes, actually. I do know that the state police, we did a right to know on that one also. They have responded, in those instances that involved a gun, where a gun was prevalent, they were there within 5 minutes. I'm just letting you know that.
Well,
So I
I'm
guess
just letting you
what
know
you're saying
that
is
if you
call-
if you pass this amendment and you start putting up 100-unit apartment buildings and properties of less than 20 acres where people can come in for a variance and maybe have 20 apartments, you're going to need to do something, and it can't just be the state police. Okay, so are you planning, are you looking out into the future thinking that maybe you might need a township police? Are you going to work with the borough so that they hire more people? And we haven't even talked about EMT or fire yet.
Right, so Dingman's has over 10,000 people, we have 1,500.
I'm not talking about
Dingman's
Dingman's.
does not
I don't care
have.
about- I don't
Excuse me,
care about
excuse me,
Finish,
I'm
let him
talking.
finish, please.
Over 10,000 people, they're covered by the state police.
Good.
Lehman Township, over 12,000 people, they're covered by the state police.
Great.
Now, this is how it works, we pass an amendment, if that were to pass, okay? Under the conditional use, they can put in there that they have their own security. See, that's how it really works. Because when it goes for the conditional use, they can say to any project at any time, hey, look, we want you to have your own security force.
Which isn't going to happen.
Well, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
just
I'm
telling you.
telling you, I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen.
All right, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So,
Point taken.
you have no plan for township police, you're counting on the state police, you do call on the borough police.
We don't call on the borough police.
Never.
Okay, so
State police calls on the
The
borough
state-
police.
the state will call on the borough police, right? And at some point, I think the borough needs to charge you guys. But that's aside, that's an
That's why you
aside.
have mutual aid
That's
agreements.
an aside.
Right.
Okay. So the other thing is, it was a very interesting planning board meeting several weeks back where a gentleman in the front row asked a very interesting question, a very easy question, right? He said, so, Mr. Seacrest threw out the old win-win, which I'm embarrassed to say I've used as a marketing guy over the years. So the question came back, so Mr. Seacrest, what is the win for the township? Right? And he couldn't answer it. He said, we'll have to see as we go forward, which was quite disturbing, to be honest. Now, you've said tonight, okay, we're going to get some tax money, which is the first time I've heard something plausible about this amendment. Now, Mr. Williams, you said you've been sitting back, taking it all in. What's the win here for you? What do you see? And don't say taxes again. What do you see as the win?
You'll see.
Yeah, okay.
When I
Ms.
decide,
Lurs.
I'll let you know.
Ms. Lurs.
It's still up, I'm still
Still
debating on
up
both
here.
sides.
Okay, so none of you have an idea of what the win is.
I have not made a decision.
No, this is not a decision. I said, what's the win?
Win-win is that we
What's
have
the
more
win?
taxes.
More
He said taxes. You got anything else?
What else do you want to have?
What else do you
Well,
want?
is that it? Are you
I
only
have
doing it
people
for taxes?
that do want to have, live here and not have to own their property. I do.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yes, they don't want to be homeowners. They want somebody to take care
So
of their
you're saying the big
And
win
I
for the
know, actually, I
township?
had to stop you. I am tired of you sounding so condescending to me. I really and truly am.
Well, hey, that's too
Please.
bad because that's what
No,
comes back from this
because
board.
this is
That's
not
really what comes back from
condescending.
this
It
board.
is not.
And it starts with Mr. Clark.
Tone it down, please. That's why we have this gentleman here. You must tone it down when you're talking
I'm
to this
having
young
a
lady.
conversation
You've got
with
to
you, and
tone
I
it
don't
down.
Okay, you know what,
appreciate it.
and I'll end it at
I
that.
really don't.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public comment? Yes.
Yes. In the past,
Phyllis.
Phyllis in Milford Township, reporting in. I used to own a building next door to John Steve, where my husband and I had our advertising agency. And that was years back. And during, not the rat building, right, as in Richard Bill's, very creative. In that period of time, the Milford Township did pay, from my recollection, the Milford Borough Police to respond to certain emergency calls. Like, for instance, I'm at home and my alarm
You're
system
absolutely
goes
right,
off.
Phyllis, they did. My
Right.
husband was on the board then, yes.
Right, we had a contract.
And they had a
with
mutual
Milford Township.
agreement, and
Right, and
the
so I would
township
get,
would go in with their equipment and help them with so much an hour, and then...
right.
And there was a...
And that was paid for, we paid for that assistance. And I can recall getting the alarm calls, my alarm had gone off, of course, at the weird hour in the morning. And I'd go down to my building, and the Milford Borough Police would show up, and they'd say, you know this building better than me, so you go in and look at it over, and we're right here if you need us. You know, I swear to God.
That doesn't bode well for them, does it?
You know the building better than me, so you go in there, check it out, sniff it out, right here in the parking lot in case you need it. And during that time, fortunately, there were no real serious, we didn't have break-ins, and it wasn't like a serious crime situation. But then when the township decided to discontinue that service, of course, you guys didn't lower the taxes to give the money back to the residents that had been spent for that auxiliary service. I don't know where it went. I guess it went into a bonus fund or something like that, right?
They had extra money is what they had, so what they did when I researched that back, they had extra money. It really didn't cost a lot of money. It was $40,000 to $60,000 a year, which isn't a pile of money. Okay?
Right. And I was just reporting on my own experience of
Right.
the value of the borough police.
The thing is with police services, what you'd have to do is you'd have to do a lot of legwork first to find out how many break-ins there actually is in Milford Township. How many burglaries where people are in their houses. You have to do a whole lot. You have to show just cause to the people. And the reason why is because police services will run you $300,000-400,000. I think Madam Moore started at about $285 and they're at about $500 now. So it gets very expensive, okay? So when you talk about a police force in your township, you're not talking about $50,000 to $100,000. You're talking making money.
You mean as an independent entity versus
Well, no,
buying
that's-
into like the
they're
regional
joint, they're like-
police or?
Buying in a regional will cost you $4,000 or $5,000.
$400,000 or $500,000 to buy into a regional police force. That's-
So the regional police force that's in existence now, if the township decided to try to access their services, we would be fighting off the bullet for a $500,000.
Well, the reason why is
Depends on what
because
service you want.
they would have to hire people and have more cars to service your area. Now, what I did a little bit of research on it, more and more of those regional police forces, and I hate to say it, in Pennsylvania, have gone by the wayside, okay? Where there was like 80, 90 or whatever it was, and now there's only 28. The reason what happens is, and it's not anybody's fault, it just gets very expensive because everybody wants pay raises, insurance goes up, cars and this and that. And so what's going on is, I know of one township that has 49,000 people in it and are serviced by the state police. 49,000, that's almost the total number in Pike County and is serviced by the state police. And the reason being is it got so expensive, they just couldn't handle it on their own. Okay, and that's what you have to look at, feasibility. Look, I understand the accountability with the people, but you also, when you're sitting here, and no matter who's sitting here, you better start looking at what money's going out. Because one thing you don't want to do is raise taxes on your people, because it chases people away. All right, that's number one. It chases them right away from your area. And people don't like tax increases. Nobody does. So that's to answer your question.
Can I just make a closing statement?
Sure.
Since that auxiliary, that assistance from the borough police disappeared, I personally live on Forster Hill Road. All right, and I have not had, fortunately, aside from the people going up in the old days who used to go up to Malibu, blowing my mailbox up all summer long, I never had an issue where the state police were not available to me if I had an emergency situation.
Right.
And I have even had instances where there was not a dangerous situation, but just something that was upsetting to me. All right? I had fallen prey to somebody who came and dumped stone in my driveway, which I hadn't asked for. And the state police did come, explore what had happened. They investigated the situation and gave me peace of mind to know that they were there in the event threatening way. So my own experience is I have never been disappointed in a lack of service. That's only my personal experience.
Me too. I've never, we had one incident by us where it was actually a person with a gun. And when it was called in, it was, they were there within 5 minutes, and there were 3 trooper cars, and they all come out with what I looked like. It looked like AR-15s or something, and they surrounded it within 5 minutes. I mean, they were there hot. Because there was a gun involved with a person, I think that they got there a little.
Weren't the state police very proactive when that girl was kidnapped by the guy and it was up in the llama farm and so forth? And the police, the state police had come in with auxiliary helicopters and And they really did a marvelous job of addressing that threat.
Well, you gotta remember, the state police have the forensics and everything else, okay? So when you have local police, you really don't have that option. What happens now is they call in the state police and they have to do all the technical work. You know, so by having them, you know, like I said, the local police, you're still paying them, but then you're you're still gonna rely on the state police for anything where it was like Leanna.
But
because of the
even a number of the private communities that are not in the township or the borough, right? A lot of the private communities have their own security departments and their own gate guards and whatever, all to take the burden away from the state police in terms of handling miscellaneous problems inside the private community.
And that's another option that, you know, that you have to look at. We have over 50% of our people are in communities. So if you have a local police force, they don't go into local communities.
There you go.
So now they're gonna pay for it, but they don't go in there.
So people pay dues to have some type of private security
Usually.
services available to them absent.
Yes, usually.
I'm done.
Okay, next. Name, please, physical address.
Amy Eisenberg, West Ann Street, Milford Township. So I'm hearing a little bit of the fact that we're strapped for emergency services as a town, as a township, and as a county at large. So what I'm wondering is if we find it appropriate as a municipality to lean on the borough for, at times, police, but always on the fire department, and always on EMTs.
And we pay for it.
We pay for it.
We pay for
There are significant
Around
donations.
significant
26,000.
donation. We pay for it, the workman's comp and everything.
Yep.
Okay,
Milford Fire Department.
We pay for the Milford Fire Department. I told you, the calls coming from Milford Borough are very small, and they actually come into Milford Township because they have a contract with the Pinchot Institute up there, okay? Isn't that correct? You still have the contract? So most of what you see is they're going there, they're not going to the rest. So the calls that they go on are very limited. In Eastern Pike Regional, I don't think they responded to any. There was zero. There was no call. And the reason why is, I asked the trooper one time, why do you not have so many calls in Milford Township? And you know what his answer was? Because everybody owns a gun. That's what he said. Everybody owns a gun. I kid you not. Now, I don't have one, but that was his answer.
Well,
There is not
I'm
a
the
lot going
minority.
on here.
I was attacked by a pit bull 2 doors away from my house, and it took Blooming Grove 40 minutes to respond to my house with a violent dog at large.
Is that-
I don't
that's-
own a gun.
That's actually the dog catcher's
Yes, the dog
responsibility.
catcher.
Okay, so that would have taken even longer. So what
Right,
I'm
because he
saying,
comes out of, he covers 4 counties.
I guess what I'm saying is, as a resident, I feel vulnerable that we're leaning on a lot of people. What I'm wondering, if we're discussing increasing population, our contribution to emergency services will go up proportionally,
Should.
so it would impact the taxes proportionally.
Well, we're talking about a mixed-use amendment. We're not talking about anything right now. There's nothing before us. So one thing you can't do is speculate on anything until they go to a conditional use, and then you get the planning commission involved, and all that has
They
to happen
outline
first.
what they're gonna do. We don't
Yeah,
even
there's nothing out there. It's a mixed-use agreement, that's it.
But for whatever reason, we are talking about, we're spending a lot of time talking about a zoning amendment.
Okay.
And I still don't understand the benefit to the township, other than taxes, why we would do that.
Okay.
And what I guess my point, circling back to us leaning on the borough, and yes, we're paying part of that. I'm wondering if we're sharing services, why is it not appropriate that as we discuss zoning amendments, that we're referring back to the county's comprehensive plan in which we not just participate, but cooperate with our neighboring municipalities?
Because we're Milford Township and we're for Milford Township, and I don't believe in a county comprehensive plan that ever says that. It doesn't say that, no. You're talking about the local comprehensive plan. There was a lot in there that was never abided by either of the borough or the township. And I've always promoted the township first, and I am here for Milford Township. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel about things. We are a separate entity. In 1848, we gave them a square mile of land, and they. I don't want to sit here and tell Milford Borough what to do with their land. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't want to sit here and write up things, ordinances, just for the borough. I don't want to do it. And that's pretty much what you're saying, and they write up ordinances for us. What fits them and what fits us is two different things. We have a little more push-out land, they don't. They have lots. We don't have lots, we have acreage. So it's totally different.
So under your leadership, the marching orders would be to abandon the rest of the county in any type of...
The county is always overseeing every ordinance we ever change, every ordinance. They comment on it, they send it back here.
So now
Okay.
that the Milford Township Planning Board has voted on the zoning amendment, it goes to the commissioners now?
No, it goes to county plan.
County
It
planning.
goes to the county plan.
And their questions have been answered. They put 11 questions on it, and Seacrest and the group that he has, the planning commission, have answered all of them.
It's went back to them again.
And now it went back to them 18 days ago.
And when do you speculate that the supervisors will act on voting for or against the amendment?
Probably be August 19th. That's what I'm looking at right now. August 19th. Okay, anybody else? Yes, Phyllis, one more time.
You can go ahead of me, you want to go ahead and do?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Doesn't matter. Tricia Lefty,
Yeah, just left the Milford Borough? Where are you from?
Delaware Township.
Delaware Township, okay.
So, I'm hearing what you're saying about your for Milford Township, and I can understand that that's your primary focus, but I think that people that do this planning on a job level have interjected that working together in multi-municipality is the format, and it's what the state supports. They don't support financially any single municipality working on a comprehensive plan. And I kind of go back to this over and over again, but I fundamentally believe if you're not working in cooperation and you think that this is an island, it's not. And I'm just wondering where you are all at, and I'd like each of you to answer if you don't mind, Mr. Williams, Mr. Clark, and Mrs. Lewis. You know, where you feel, what your fundamental belief is on whether or not we shouldn't be looking at a multi-municipality plan that can be funded by the state primarily as a benefit to the county, rather than thinking that the Milford Township is an island, because I don't think it is.
I'll answer that first. Did you go to your supervisors and tell them that you want them to work with Milford Borough?
I think
You
it
said
would
you're
be-
from Delaware Township. Did
Yeah,
you
and
go
I
to
think
them?
it would be a really good idea, Mr. Clark,
Yeah.
that it would be a grander scale, but right now you have a multi-municipality plan with the borough, so you could start there.
Okay, but Dingman's also borders Milford Borough the same
And I
amount
do
that
own
we do.
property in the borough,
did-
so as a matter of fact, I have a vested interest.
What I'm
in it.
saying though is, did you go to Dingman's and say to them, hey, I want you to work with the borough under a comprehensive plan because we could get more grants or whatever? Did anybody bother to do that? That's what I'm saying. Did anybody go to somebody else other than Milford Township and say, hey, look, we want you to work with Milford Borough?
Delaware Township doesn't have something on the table right now like the amendment.
How about
discussed
Dingman's?
it.
They bordered it.
I understand that, and that has been discussed as a matter of fact.
And they brought it up to the supervisors, and what was their reaction?
I didn't bring it up to those supervisors personally, but I know it's been discussed.
Okay,
But I do
curious.
think a multi-municipality plan expanded past just those two is progress.
I have no,
And that's been suggested by the state, that that's a better.
Well, I
plan.
don't know that it's been suggested by the state because I haven't heard that, but I'd like to call down to Harrisburg and get somebody on the phone and let them tell me that they want every municipality joined together. And really, what I want to listen to is...
You're misconstruing that, okay? They wouldn't say they want they would suggest that it's it's beneficial. And in fact, I don't know the date of the meeting, but the first time, and I didn't know much about any of this, you had told me that single municipalities were the way it was going now, and that working together wasn't. And so I checked on that, and that was a fallacy.
Well, where's your facts? Where is it before you? How many are working together in
Well, maybe
Pennsylvania?
some of the people that attended the meeting with Ted.
There is a recording
That's
of
it.
that workshop
Or if
meeting.
you'd like to watch it, maybe then you could educate yourself about that, because that's a fact. That's
Well,
not something I'm just bringing up.
as far as I'm concerned, there was no meeting in Milford. I'm just saying.
Penny organized
It
it.
couldn't be a meeting, and I'm going to skip that for right
Penny
now.
organized it.
It couldn't be a meeting, because a meeting would have to be approved by the
It
supervisor.
was a workshop, it wasn't a meeting, okay? It
It was open to the public, anybody could say.
Workshop has to be approved by the supervisors too. I've already explained all that, I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay,
as
so
far
we're
as this
not
board goes,
talking
it
about
was
the
nothing.
workshop, I'm talking about the fact that you're saying you're not for it, I get that. Mr. Williams, how do you feel about multi-municipality to working together?
Well, I think some things yes, other things no. I mean, Westfall Township, they just build apartment after apartment, and they don't care about anybody else in the whole county. Keep it
I
down.
understand that, but do you think that's productive? I mean, being that you have a multi-municipality agreement or a comprehensive plan with the borough prior, would you think going forward would make sense?
It could help, yes. I mean, the one we have now is 10 years old.
Right, and it's due.
Overdue.
It's over.
Mrs. Lors, how do you feel about that?
I do think that eventually we will be working with Milford Township
So
to
do
try
I.
to connect, and Milford Borough to try to connect the two with grants, and that's how you're gonna have to do it.
Right.
With Westfall, we could work with Westfall also because I think the thing that I liked about what he said was anything that we don't want to have in Milford Township,
Exactly.
we can dump into
can-
Westfall.
yeah.
But I don't know if they're gonna, now that I said it, it's like Westfall might not want to work
But
with
it
us.
wasn't even so much that, it was
Yeah.
just a matter of looking at the resources, what
Everybody has,
what makes
and
the
what makes
township,
sense.
because as you said, Mr. Clark, the habit stands, the borough doesn't. So it gives the opportunity to look at that globally. The last thing I want to say is, I don't know how you feel, but I think that your planning board has abilities to contribute, and they are part of the comprehensive plan process. I think that they have something to contribute. Everybody has something to contribute. I think Mr. Seacrest has some talents, but I don't think that they're in a position to do a comprehensive plan for your township.
Well, actually, I think what Ted said is that you put your wish list together.
That's right.
They put their wish list together, and then maybe the two can come up.
It requires that kind of
It does.
cooperation.
It absolutely does.
All right.
Yeah, we don't need to spend $50,000 on it.
You don't have to spend $50,000, it's grant money that they have.
If you can get grant money. Milford Township doesn't get many grants. Yes.
Larry
You don't
Miller,
apply.
Milford Township. As far as a comprehensive plan, I think each municipality would, a comprehensive inner one is like putting the cart before the horse. Each municipality should have their own plan, and then, if you
That's what I
want to
just
do
said,
a round
Larry.
table and unite.
That's what I just said.
It's common sense, but, sorry.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Two things. One is.
Rachel Hendricks, Milford Township.
Milford Township, 9 acres. I wanted to follow up on the vote that you had at the last meeting, asking for a written legal opinion from your attorney regarding the potential or not for the amendment to.
If you got it already.
Okay, so it's done. I know what it says, because I already read that, I already read the book. Okay, yes.
Yeah, hi, Doug Housekeeper from Shakopee Road. I know you're gonna vote on this on August the 19th. Are you planning on having a meeting to advertise this so you get everybody's opinion that hasn't shown up in this room?
Of course, every amendment that comes through, or any zoning change is automatically publicized twice before that. So it'll be 30 days away, it'll be publicized twice that there's going to be a public hearing on a zoning amendment. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, Rachel Hendricks.
Thank you. On the comprehensive plan at the planning board meeting, they laid out a rough schedule of how they were going to undertake moving forward with the comprehensive plan independently. And I'm wondering what the Board of Supervisors is going to give them in terms of directives for engaging outside organizations, engaging the public, engaging professionals to assist them with the process, the financial resources that it would take to engage those planning professionals. And I think this is a very important document, and it will be used to measure what happens in the township for the next 10 years. So I don't think it should be something that that you're leaving to brand new planning board members in a vacuum by themselves. They've never done one before. They're not planning professionals, and they should get some sense of direction from you all. You are the governing body that sets the tone for them, and I hope that you will do that.
Okay, what has to happen there is the planning commission that I've seen there, and it's been quoted as one of the best planning commissions around because of the due diligence that they do, okay? Their chairman can come to this meeting, and what he'll do is he'll request the county planner, or he'll request Mr. Shepstone, or whatever, and then we grant him that, or the money for that, for whatever he needs. So whatever they need for the comprehensive plan, that Mr. Seacrest will come here, and what he will do is address us as supervisors, what he needs. Now, the comprehensive plan notoriously goes to the planning commission first. What they do is they go over the comprehensive plan, tear it apart, if they wish to. They don't have to, but if they wish to, and they come up with a comprehensive plan that they think is good for the township. They are all township residents who have been here for years and years and years, and looking out for our own people in the best interest of them. Then it comes to the supervisors. We will read through it, and if we don't like something, we tear it apart, okay? Or the next supervisors will tear it apart and say, no, I don't like this, and then it goes back to the planning, and then it comes back to them. So it actually will take a while to do this, okay? It's not something that's done overnight. The way it's being done, I think, is a great way. We've spent money, well, actually we didn't, the Water Authority spent money on ours the last time. We don't plan on spending a lot of money on the comprehensive plan. It's a dream for our township, is what it is. It doesn't have to be abided by. You should go by it with guidelines, but you don't have to abide by it. So therefore, like I said, I think they all have the dreams of Milford Township in their minds, and we'll see how it ends up, and we'll see what Mr. Seacrest, what he has to say to me, if he needs somebody. If he needs an expert, that's fine. Just come to us, okay? Rather than handing that book to somebody else and spending $40,000 or $50,000, because that's what upwards could cost. Yes?
Mr. Clark, I'm concerned, you weren't at the last meeting. I am concerned about the aptitude of our planning commission. We sat in this room and newly appointed Patrick McCarthy admitted he was still working on the documents. But he acted on the zoning amendment regardless. Now, I do understand that planning commission are political appointments. I'm just wondering if you feel personally embarrassed.
Absolutely not, because
make an
the
appointment?
vote would have been 3-2, even if you voted against it. So I've heard you I watched this on YouTube. I could not make the last meeting, 2 meetings in 6 years, okay? I had some sick family members, but that's none of nobody's business. Now, as far as McCarthy goes, his vote is his vote. He's born here, he lives here all his life. He watches the newspapers, he reads the newspapers, he knows what's going on. Even if he voted no, let's just put it to bed, it still would have been 3-2. It still would have came to us. So it doesn't matter about Mr. McCarthy. I think, and what you're saying is he's not really up to the planning commission. He doesn't have the due diligence for it, but I think he does. I think he's a smart man. I don't think he's stupid by any means. He's been a carpenter for quite a while. We all know that. He voted with his conscience.
It just would be really nice if there was some way for the supervisors to instill confidence among the taxpayers as these things are proceeding. In other words, in my opinion, he wasn't prepared for the last vote. He voted regardless.
Well, everybody has an opinion. I understand that. And you have.
But when we're talking about a 10-year document, it would be really nice to be confident in the folks preparing that 10-year document.
I have a lot of
Otherwise,
confidence.
there's really no point to that exercise.
He's lived here, what, 61 years?
I don't think
I
that living
think he's looking
somewhere-
out for the best interest of our town, of our township. I really believe that. I believe every one of those planning board members is, and the reason why is they've lived here for pretty much almost all their lives. So they're looking out for the best interest of the town. Yes?
I have a question. I'm not sure whether it's more than one person, are the people who used to serve on the planning commission going to proceed with any kind of a hearing relative to this issue?
Two members have appealed our decision.
Brian and who?
And Trey Wills have appealed the decision. We don't talk about it. it's like appealing a traffic ticket, how you appeal
No
them.
date has been set.
Yeah, no date has been set.
But we're anticipating that they are going to.
They filed an appeal.
They filed an appeal
Okay.
on our decision, and it goes to a court, and then the court decides on our decision, okay?
Now, had the prior planning board members, had they started to get involved with the rewrite of the comprehensive? I don't remember
No,
them even using the words comprehensive
no, they had
plan.
not started on it.
No.
So, I mean, those folks have been in that position for a relatively long period of time and were not even scratching the surface of a revision to the
Oh,
comprehensive
absolutely,
plan.
and it's funny, because we talked about it 2 years ago, and they said, hey, we gotta revisit it. So I really started reading it over and over and over and over, and looking at the comprehensive plan. Things that were just outdated should not even be in there. There's actually a lot of data that does not need to be there. Comprehensive plan didn't need to be exactly what it was. I always say it should be, 20 to 40 pages, have a nice day. You said the
But
same
at
thing.
the time it was done, I mean, it was anticipated to be appropriate.
Well,
But that was so long ago,
it
it's
was-
ancient history.
Well, it was done, they paid for it, so, and they paid dearly for it, Milford Borough and Milford Township. And actually, they didn't pay, the Water Authority paid a good amount of money for it, and there were some others. But when you send it out to engineers to have it done, of course, they're gonna add a little more to it. And you gotta remember, they're plate men, so what they do is they look at other townships that are joined together, and they'll use those
What
things.
we're adopting and
Yeah,
starting.
it's sort of like when you hire your planner for the township. I've called them several times where they get a zoning amendment, let's say from Westchester, and they say, oh, this fits you good, but it doesn't really fit us. But that's what happens, okay? It's called plates. They take the plate from here and they move it over here and say,
Right.
this is great for you. That's why I say it's better for your own people to do
But
it.
given the situation that the prior planning board, right, was supposedly beginning to evaluate the zoning change, and they had made no reference to its connection to, or a revision to the comprehensive plan, how well would they have been prepared to address what's being addressed now of trying to meld together zoning changes with the comprehensive plan, if they hadn't even approached any connection?
Point well taken.
That's my.
Yeah, that's a point well taken. Okay, one more question, and that's it for this, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, Bill Pittman, Milford Township. I got a very basic question. Why do we need this amendment, this zoning change?
Why do we need it?
Why do we need it?
Because we're looking at the future. That's what we're doing. We're actually being
Future.
proactive, we're being proactive instead of reactive. Because here's the deal, if somebody put that amendment in right now, if they were to put an application in right now, it doesn't even come to us. It goes to Phyllis and 2 other people. They could say yes, and it's a done deal. So we're actually being very proactive. See, if somebody drops an application in on you, and you don't even have zoning for it, what has to happen then is it goes to the zoning hearing board. And I'm only saying it now because we're so far along, I know these gentlemen wouldn't do that. But what could happen is theoretically, Phyllis and 2 others could say, yeah, we think it's a great idea. You have no say. It goes. And it could be 300 apartments. So let's be a little proactive here, not reactive. Let's get it under control. And not only that, but it's good for us. It's good for taxes. I've met 2 elderly people who said, I'm selling my house in Milford Township and moving down there if that was to be built. And they told me that right to my face. And they're from your development. They said, we don't want to own our house anymore. We don't want to take care of our house anymore. We want to walk to town. I think it's a great thing. You have a mixed use. All the mixed uses that I've been looking at are really nice. They're not sort of shitty like any other. They're nice. They look nice, and they're treated well, they have their own security, they have all their own stuff. And it's like elderly people or young people can go there. Young people start out there, then they buy the house. And the elderly people, they move back down there, they get rid of the house. And I think it was done where Seacrest had said, it's really the over 55 crowd and the 25 to 33-year-olds. In the middle doesn't really live there because they want to own their own houses. So we're being proactive, not reactive. Let's move on.
Is there room for one more comment or no?
Next
No,
one, next
no,
one, hold it,
no,
hold it.
no.
We have a public hearing to do yet.
Yes. Correspondence, please.
Jody Manheim, Secretary of Westford Township forwarded an email from Razor. It's about Commonwealth Health.
You may want to read this one.
Which one?
No, maybe you want to read it.
Okay. Commonwealth Health has stopped all communication.
Right.
A newsletter from PZ's Township. Pike County Conservation District is from Mariana Quattraro. Inspection report for SNS Sandystone Construction. No violations observed. Pike County Area Aging is from Kathy. There are health benefits from for senior citizens and how you can obtain them. There are free community education programs on July 17 and July 25. Five-star equipment, it's from Robert Pavlik. It's about the standard warranty of our John Deere model for 10L.
For you.
PennDOT, it's from Ms. Emma Pug. She sent us some descriptions of the projects. It's funded projects within this municipality. She also attached some maps and brief descriptions of the project. Treasurer Torsala has sent treasury notes for rainy day fund. He explained why reserves matter, best practices for saving in rainy day funds. He also thinks Pennsylvania's RD of balance lags nation. Modern day equipment and supply. It's from Bob Shimodi. It's about easy procurement for wheel loaders and chippers through approved contract programs. Jason Shoup from FirstNet. It's about availability for Pennsylvania townships. He says the township management, police department, fire department, and EMS services might qualify for this program. July newsletter from Pike County Conservation District. Greater Pike Community Foundation. It announces the availability of $90,000 in grant funds from the Richard L. Snyder Fund. Applications will be accepted until 5 p.m. on July 31st. July news from NEPA, NEPA headlines, and Delaware Water Gap, NRA. They will host day 2 of the 30th annual on and under the Delaware River cleanup event on July 16, 2019.
Okay?
That's
Okay, one letter I want to explain to everybody, and I was on this for the EMS. Commonwealth Health is who we were trying to work with for our 7 townships to service us with EMTs or a paramedic or whatever. They, at first, in all my notes, they said they could come in here with the amount of calls that we had and make money. And they would not need to charge any township for their services.
Who was this?
Commonwealth Health. Now, Commonwealth Health was bought out afterwards by another agency. And then they came back and said, oh no, we're going to charge each municipality for their services. And myself and one other individual in there found out that through Westfall Township, they had approved a senior care center, but one of the conditions is they can't open up the senior care center unless they contract to one of these outfits of Commonwealth Health or Atlantic or something like that. So they wanted to charge us, and I said, well, that's funny, because you're not going to come, somebody's going to come down to the senior care center, because they have to, they can't open up without you. You're going to be begging us to come in our townships to get our business. Now, we don't have a lot of business here in Milford Township, I'm just gonna let you know. Calls are very low. But in Westfall, they're very high.
The seniors.
Very high. Senior care centers, just, that happens. And in the towns, And a lot of them are calls of the little lady who's got a pocketbook by her who wants to go to the doctor because she wants to go to the doctor. And they said that. But anyway, they still charge for that. Now they're saying they don't even want to talk to us. Now, I keep saying, wait until that senior care center opens up, because they can't open up because it's in their agreement that they have to have one of these services in there. Then when they come in there, that's when you deal with them, because they're not just going to come down for that one, because they need more money. You can't pair a paramedic and an EMT for one business, they'll tell you. It just doesn't work out because you don't give them enough money. But you'd love to have the rest of the municipalities, because now you can race out and you can go to those municipalities and you can pick up more service, okay? So anyway, that's where we're at. They just decided they're not going to talk to us for now. Well, myself, okay, you're not going to talk to us for now. Somebody eventually will talk to us. Somebody's going to come forward and say, hey, we've taken the senior care center on, and now we'd like to come out to Milford Township, Milford Borough, Dingman's, Shahola, whatever, all right? At one point, the gentleman had said, I can't even do this with one unit. It's going to take 2 units, but the amount of calls. It wasn't Milford Township. Westfall had the predominant, the high side, but Dingman's was another higher one. You know what I'm saying? They had a lot of calls. So that what they wanted to do is man one down there and one there. It also brought up other situations. I found out the fire companies they get paid for each call. So they wanted their share because they get paid for each call that they go on. So there seemed to be something going on there where you had to settle it out between these and the fire departments, because the fire departments would go to senior care center, they pick them up, and then they get paid like $280 or $300 or whatever it was for each call. So they wanted that share.
Not the
So it really turned out to be
It's a transport service?
Well, the fire departments have their own EMTs, like Westfall's got. Westfall really is, whoever runs it is doing a great job, because their EMTs, it's almost 24 hours a day. They've got everything situated with people going there. They could always use more, you know what I mean? I'd love to see them get more. But Westfall is very busy, and they get, like I said, they get money. So, that comes into play too with all this, bringing outside people in, because now it cuts into that. So we ran into that little issue there. I say, let's just wait for somebody to get down there, then deal with them people, because they're going to want us. They're going to want everybody, because they're going to need more calls.
Subsidize the cost.
Of course, they got to subsidize. You can't open up the senior care center without it. It's under the conditional use. Well, if you can't, and you go there, hey, like I said, they're not going to make enough money. So I just want to explain that to everybody, what that little letter was, okay? All right, moving along. Okay, under old business, I would like to make a motion that we advertise August 19th for the mixed-use amendment and advertise it properly between now and then. Do I have a second?
Two questions.
Okay.
One, where are you going to have it?
That I don't know yet. We could
It has
have,
to be in the advertisement.
yeah, but I think it should be right here, to be honest with
I
you.
don't think this is big enough.
Don't go to the high
It was
school.
clearly not big enough the last 2 times.
Well, it would be if we had Milford Township, but you're right, we have a lot of people come from, 2, 3 townships away, and,
These individuals from the DEPG group are not residents of the township, and they're not currently taxpayers of the township, but you would want to give them the opportunity to participate. We've had lots of people who are not from
I
the
would-
township participate.
me, myself, would I want to give them that? But they don't need to say a word, because it's really not, it's a mixed-use agreement, or not agreement, amendment. So really, it's just an amendment, that's all it is. Me, I'm like Milford Township residents, but we could hold it at the Best Western, okay, Matt would hold it at the conference room.
They have room big enough.
Yeah, they have the conference room.
They do.
Why would you hold it Delaware Valley?
No, I wouldn't want to go to a service like that. I'd rather probably go to
The school, if they're available.
we'd probably pay more for it.
Janitor, sir.
How about wherever it's most economical?
Yeah.
Put it out to bid.
I'll
I
price
mean,
it
I pay
out.
taxes here too.
Price it out.
That would be a good idea.
I don't think you want to eliminate anyone.
Well, we could do it in the garage. We're not paying anything.
Volunteers.
No, not really.
Like I said, I don't like paying any extra money than I have to. I'm just cheap like that. I'm
I
sorry.
think we should look into Best Western in the school.
All right, so one or the other, and I'll book it. So which one do you want, the school or, I said
One
Best
that's-
Western.
one that's a
Twice the
cheaper.
amount.
Twice the amount.
All right, so anyway, so what we'll do is we'll make this, that it's gonna be one or the other. You still have time to advertise it. It takes twice to advertise it, 2 consecutive weeks. Dispatch, you can still do it, correct? Okay, so what I'll do is, it'll be in the advertisement. So what I'll do is I'll make the motion that a mixed-use amendment be on August 19th at the Delaware Valley School or at Best Western, and this week I will price out which one. It'll be in the advertisement. Do I have a second?
Second, yeah.
At 7 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye? Aye.
Question to the motion.
Okay,
Question on the motion, Mr. Chairman. Will the public hearing be before the supervisors meeting or after?
it should be actually before it, I would think.
Please, we need to make that clear in
That's
the
clear.
advertisement that the regular meeting will be held after the public hearing.
Do you want to do the public hearing at 6?
That's why I'm asking.
Well, he already said 7, and we made that motion,
Well,
so
we
it's
can
7.
always skip
So
it
what we
back
could
down.
theoretically, wait. What we could theoretically do now is make a motion that we have our meeting at 6 o'clock, then we?
No,
Before the
then you've got to stop at 7 for the
Yes.
public hearing.
Right.
Yeah, but it would be all done, because,
No,
Right.
not necessarily.
no,
Not necessarily.
no.
We're here an hour now, we're not done, are we?
Well, that's public comment, but,
Well,
yeah, but under public comment under this, we can limit the time too, and you know that, okay? So what we'll do is we'll just hold it afterwards. We'll hold our
I
regular
would say the
meeting.
public hearing first.
That's what I
You
said.
have to adjourn your meeting to another date.
So the public hearing goes first, and then we hold our meeting. So now we're not changing anything.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Done deal.
The
So
public hearing is 6?
public hearing is at 7 o'clock, and after that's done, then we hold our regular meeting. And it'll either be at the school or it'll be at Best Western. I will price them out and get the best price and which one. I go with the cheaper, so wherever it's cheaper is where I'm going.
The only comment I have is that wherever you go, make sure that they have adequate equipment so that everyone can hear everyone else.
Yeah, yeah, not everybody's got a big mouth like myself.
public addresses.
You're gonna need 2. You're gonna need a wireless mic for the audience.
That's Best Western.
Well, what I'll do is I'll contact
Podium for
our IT guy, all right, the IT guy, and what I'll do is I'll make sure that's all set. Okay, next, I am going to open up the hearing on the kennel ordinance.
Okay. We are here pursuant to an advertisement in the dispatch. This is the date, time, place for public hearing regarding amendments to the kennel ordinance. The amendments to the kennel ordinance, which is section 413.3 of the zoning ordinance, increased the minimum parcel size to 5 acres and added a requirement that a sound deadening barrier not less than 6 feet in height or a year-round dense vegetative planting of not less than 6 feet in height will be provided at a distance not to exceed 15 feet and fully encircling all kennel areas which are not enclosed in the building. The section 413.4 was amended to add accept the low growth district. Originally, the keeping of any animal on a parcel of less than 5 acres in any district except the low growth district would be considered a conditional use, and the township may, in addition to the setbacks required above, require additional setbacks or buffers in accord with section 608 of the ordinance and guidelines as may be promulgated by the Penn State Cooperative Extension Service, who is here tonight. And that's one of the things they do. They have guidelines for how many animals you can have on how many acres.
You also put both roads out of the county.
Yeah.
Has this been advertised properly?
It has.
Okay.
And one last thing of the amendment before we ask for public comment was that schedule of uses was updated with respect to kennels, and the schedule of uses now allows for kennels as a conditional use.
Which that should have always been anyway.
Right.
I don't know why that was left out. That should have always been a conditional use.
Well, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, which means that they come in at that time and they put them in low growth and they opened them up and you had no say. You just went by the zoning, is
That's
that
it.
correct?
That's
Okay.
correct. This amendment was sent to the Pike County Office of Community Planning, and I have letters here which Gary passed out. This letter was received by the township on June 12th. It's dated June 10th from Brian Snyder, Community Planner, Pike County Office of Community Planning. The Pike County Office of Community Planning, the official county planning agency pursuant to County Ordinance 14 and Act 247, has reviewed the zoning ordinance amendment and has no comment. Our office finds the ordinance amendment to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and municipal ordinances, and that was from June 10th.
Very good.
So I would ask if there's any public comment regarding the ordinance amendments to the kennels. Mrs. Simpson has
Phyllis.
I have a question. Is this the old Box of Haven kennel?
No, it has nothing to do with
This has
mine.
nothing to do with any of them.
This is just to change it, if there's new ones,
Coming
people
in.
apply for new ones.
Okay, but an existing one is not under this?
No, it's not
They're
effective.
all grandfathered in.
Ah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, like you can't have the kennel up by you now. You used to be able to, they could open one up, now they can't. Because really, that's residential, and I don't think you'd really like it up there.
But don't you, you're allowed to have animals on your property based on your acreage in the township?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's the state law, but this is kennels, where there could be
This is basically cattle.
$100. So you really want it in the right areas, not the wrong areas.
Got it,
You know, and commercial is really where it belongs.
got it.
And that satisfies you back there because it's no longer in low growth. Okay. Any other public comment on it?
This time I'd like to make a motion, we accept the changes to section 413.3 of the zoning and also 413.4 with the changes in the kennels and the keeping of other animals.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This hearing is now closed. Okay, moving along.
Mr. Jim, close it back again.
Yep. Yes, there is a bank account that Vi put me on to about 2 weeks ago that I did not even know was there, and I keep track of all of our finances. Yeah, we have never, we have not used this bank account, it's a checking account, in about 4 years.
Where
There's
is it?
very little money in it, and what Vi wants to do is, Vi and you, if you were in agreement, they want to close out this bank account because it really, it's just not used. I don't even know why it was opened up. It's actually opened up before I got here. It has no value to us. We get nothing from it. We're just saving a little bit of money in it.
Got $146.26.
There you go. And we just don't use it. So let's, before we get charged for that or anything else, I would make a motion that we close out that number. What number is it?
Well, just a Wayne Bank.
A Wayne Bank account.
Yeah, Wayne Bank
And
account.
transfer it
The
to
general
the
account and transfer it to
general
it.
fund.
Okay, I'll make a motion on that, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. And it was, like I said, we have not used that, and I keep track of all the finances. Okay. A public comment period, the last one, anybody? Yes, Phyllis? Phyllis Simpson, Milford Township?
Yes, sir.
You-
I'm noticing, of course, I follow Facebook, which has no authority whatsoever, and whatever anybody posts there is their own business. But I'm seeing more and more posts relative to this zoning change that is suggesting that this is going to be an invitation to an influx of Section 8 housing.
That's
With
just
some-
summation. People's
It's just people
summarizing.
second guessing what's going to
Yes.
happen. And of course, it's kind of like a scare tactic, like as if, because whoever's posting this is suggesting that it's going to bring in a low caliber of people, crime, drugs. And there is Section 8 housing already in the borough, I believe, and in Matamoros as well.
Yes.
And I don't think there have been any issues reported that the Section 8 housing that is already in Pike County is detrimental in any way to the welfare of the residents.
Point well taken.
I would just like to make a point of saying that appropriately handled Section 8 housing is a very valuable entity to offer residents.
Actually, the housing that I had heard about before, and this was a long time ago, is $1,800 a month. I don't see that as Section 8 housing. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't think they pay that much. I don't think they pay
It
half
varies,
that much.
it varies by applicant.
Listen, the end justifies the means for some people, and the reason why I'm saying that is I saw some anti-Semitic remarks lately on Facebook, which was pointed at Milford Township, which I take offense to. I've never heard it before, don't know anything about it. That's a scare tactic. I don't like it. I think it's wrong. The end justifies the means for some people, and what they'll do is they'll say anything to get what they
And in view of the fact there is no specific proposals even outlining what these apartments, how many, and what type of apartments they are, it's inappropriate to even try to second guess what clientele would be attracted.
Correct. There's nothing
I'd just like
before
to
us.
make that a point.
Yes, yes, absolutely, Phyllis, and thank you for that. Yes,
If I can just circle back, Amy Eisenberg, Milford Township. If I can circle back to the earlier public comment period, and you made some commentary with regards to potential apartments appealing to 20-somethings, and then the 55-plus demographic. And then you've also made specific reference to apartments that are $1,800 a month. What I'm wondering, for the 20-somethings, where do you propose these people work?
the same
In
place
Pike
that
County.
all Pike Countyans are working, outside of Pike
But
County, because
commuting.
they can't find jobs here. But you know what the nice thing about mixed use is? There will be jobs out in the front of the mixed use.
In the commercial district.
Yeah, in the commercial district, which is the greatest thing, because now some of those seniors could actually work in those places. Actually, the mixed uses that I've been looking at down in Harrisburg, you're talking a lot of employees, and they're
don't
not
have jobs in the
being
county.
paid $7.25 an hour. They're being paid upwards of $12 an hour, which I understand where certain people are going to look at that and go, oh my God, well, you start going to Milford and find out what they're paying, or go to Westfall and find out what they're paying. Dollar General, we got a fit over that, right? There was a fit over at Dollar General.
I have
Found
no
out the
idea.
manager was making $62,000 a year. Hey, what a deal. That's a great thing for our area, because now that money is staying here. They're shopping here. So, all the businesses that could be out there, now they're gonna contribute too, because the over 55 crowd, some of them aren't gonna work, let's face it, because they're retired and just don't need to work and are not better. But then there's some that want to, and the 25 to 33-year-olds, what they do is they commute, okay? And community's been going on since, and it started when I was a kid, okay? When the first developments came in, Wild Acres, never forget it. I was a little kid. It was about 8,000 people in the whole county, and all of a sudden these developments came, and everybody went, oh my God! But what they did was they commuted, okay? That's just what they did.
I understand
We have
that.
trains now. Metro is right over here. It's the greatest thing. You get on the train in Port Jervis, go down to Hoboken, get on a path, and go underneath the river, and you're right there. What a beautiful thing.
Not.
So we're creating housing for commuters. And then my next question is,
Oh, we're getting housing to our own.
in terms of the 55-plus community, we've just established that we have inadequate medical services for an aging population. Do you really think that 55-plus, that this is an appropriate place to build 55-plus housing with that in mind?
I didn't say there was 55-plus housing. I said it's housing for everybody. I said that's just the crowd that goes there.
We
That's-
haven't had
You
like a
called out
specific
two very,
proposal.
No, we have not had any proposals
Say
at
whether
all.
these apartments
no
are one
proposals,
bedroom,
they
two
have
bedroom,
anything.
10
Yeah,
bedroom.
so
I understand that. I'm working off of the comments that Mr. Clark made earlier.
That's-
They were very
Well,
specific in
these-
age bracket.
Oh, absolutely.
And as
you know what
far
the-
as citing $1,800 a month, my mortgage
You know what
in
the
Milford
finding
Township
is?
is only $899.
You heard all these facts in the planning commission, everything I just told you.
What
Came,
did-
excuse
what-
me, came at you in the planning commission with Mr. Seacrest telling you what the facts were with somebody's mixed uses could be. Every one of them I just got was from the planning commission. You heard everything I heard. You're still questioning it, but those are the facts that the gentleman had come up with.
I'm still questioning the fact that based on Pike County's history in the past 10 years is that we've been inundated with foreclosures. And when you add more housing units to our inventory, it's going to reduce the individual value of property.
I don't believe that.
I mean,
I
that's
don't
the
believe
math.
that. I don't
That is
believe
the
that
math.
for 1 minute. And I'm sorry, but you're right. The housing market crashed in 2009. I'll never forget it. I lived it. I know what it's all about, okay?
It took its toll on this community,
We
and
all-
I would hate for us to revisit it.
Okay, but that's not happening. Right now, the economy is booming. We all know it. Anyway, let's move on.
Mr. Clark, we have one more item.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot an item, so we're going to go back to it. Act 537 contract.
That's with Madam Moore.
Can you fill me in on this?
Yes, this is the Pike County Scenic Rural Character Preservation Grant Contract. As was reported a couple meetings ago, Madam Morris Borough has joined in the intergovernmental agreement with Westfall, Milford Borough, Milford Township, and the Westfall Authority. And because of that, the Pike County Scenic Rural Preservation Program was kind enough to allot another $17,500 for Madam Morris's portion of the
Agreement?
feasibility study that is being done for the Eastern Pike Regional Act 537 plan. So we have an agreement which basically says adding Madam Morris Borough as a participating party to the contract and providing for additional compensation of $17,500. Total grant award shall not exceed $70,000. We have been asked by the commissioners at the last meeting to bring this to the board tonight for approval. The commissioners have already approved it. The Milford Borough has already approved it. Westfall Township has already approved it. So they're waiting on us before they present it to Madam Morris so that they can approve it also. So you would need a motion to approve amendment number 1.
Penny?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Grant
Act
contract.
537 grant contract,
Amendment number 1.
Amendment 1.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Very nice. So we
Yeah.
haven't paid a dime for that, is that right, Penny?
No.
Nobody has paid a dime.
So far.
The other thing that, of course it got so long-winded with everything else, we have a letter that we did not get from Mr. Spatz, did we?
Now, I attended the meeting with Penny last time, and because I just wanted to get back to where it was at, because I missed a couple of meetings. And they need to start doing, the engineer, HRG needs to start doing their assessment of existing systems. But before they do that, they'll send the property owners a letter. Mark Spatz, the project engineer, was going to send me a copy of the letter that
Milford Borough had approved.
that Milford Borough had approved and that Westfall Township had approved. Unfortunately, I did not get it. Penny has one.
And you know what, it wasn't the one that they approved though, so it was just a sample.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
if it's all right with the board, they do need to start sending the letters out. I would rather not have them send letters out until I have an opportunity to look at them, so you can approve a condition upon.
I think that already happened. I know that I had someone on Bull Run come to me and tell me that they got the survey in the mail
That could
from
be
the Westfall
Westfall
Sewer
Township.
Authority.
Yeah, that could be,
Westfall
because it
Sewer
could
Authority.
be Westfall.
Yeah, Westfall sent theirs out
Because they
already.
already
Bull
said-
Run
They're
is
Milford
Westfall.
Township residents.
Bull Run can be both.
Well, it could be a
Yes, but these
mistake.
individuals are Milford
Well, they
Township residents.
probably sent it in
Not realizing.
Yeah.
All right, so So you want us to make a motion on approving the letters to be sent out to the
To
individual?
Milford Township residents, subject
Contingent
subject
on-
to our review.
Okay, well, that'll be my motion, what I just said, contingent on review by the solicitor. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye, motion carries, there you go.
I just want to see what the letter says. I'm not going to change it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to see it before they send it to the residents.
And,
Because sometimes these letters, unfortunately, can get people upset.
Right.
It's like 15 questions, if I say.
like everybody thinking they have to hook up to it. Oh my
It's
God.
like 15 different questions on it, I think.
So can residents opt out of a response, or is it like the
If you don't
federal
want to
census?
fill, if you don't want to fill it out, don't fill it out.
Okay.
You don't have to sign your name to anything anymore.
How are they
Unfortunately,
deciding, who's getting?
People can volunteer,
Yep.
or they're just gonna like
Well, they're gonna-
randomly send them out, yeah.
yeah, if you look at the service area map that's there, they have target areas in each township that they'd like to do test and review of systems on. And that's what, the letters will be going out to those targets. In other words, they want to do the eastern portion of Westfall. They want to do both sides of 6 to 209. And Milford Borough, they want to try to do north, south, east, and they're taking properties from the quadrant there. So they try to spread it out as much as they can.
You're gonna get that.
Unfortunately, I don't have that map, Rachel. It was at the meeting last week.
The maps, for my neighborhood, it's very difficult to tell from a map that size where the lines
No,
are
there's a smaller map. There's a smaller map that was passed out by HRG to each of the representatives, and Penny, I know you gave it to me.
I did, for
And
safekeeping.
unfortunately, I did not. No, maybe I did. Maybe I shouldn't speak so soon.
Oh, there you go.
There's no excuse for that. And the minutes.
Hey, Gary. Clark, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
You just made reference to hook up to the sewer.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory to hook up to the
No,
sewer?
it's not mandatory.
That
Never-
depends
that's all.
on the township.
Yeah, if your township can make zoning that way, but I know our supervisor would never ever do that. I would never do that. In other words, if it passes by your front yard, that don't mean that you're
If
gonna.
you have a
have to
minute
hook in.
afterwards, I'd
Sure.
be happy to show you
Absolutely.
what the targeted areas are in the borough and the township, okay? I do have to.
Yeah, you don't have to hook up. That's- They all say that, oh, God, no, that's not true.
Well,
There's
How
some-
much is this project, how much is this project?
that's the purpose of the
gonna
feasibility
That's why
study.
they-
Feasibility study's up to about
No one knows,
120,
that's why you do a
about
study.
120,000.
That's just
For
the
the
feasibility.
feasibility.
That's feasibility. It will probably be about 1.6 million a mile.
Last I heard,
That's
it was
what-
just over $8 million was the estimate to run the line from Milford Borough to
Now, there was a study done
These are
in
guesstimates.
Milford Borough by an engineering firm in 2015 to have a borough septic system.
Borough looked
Whatever
into it.
happened to that?
It's-
No
You have to
place
ask
to
the
look.
borough.
That was 6.5 million.
Yeah,
I
no,
think they ran no place to locate it.
yeah, you
I
gotta
don't think the
have
Park
Sewer
Service is
system.
gonna let them put it in.
Park Service won't let them put it in the river.
There was
So
some,
no, it wasn't gonna go in the river.
there was some ideas about peapod systems or whatever.
Yeah.
A spray irrigation system out back here on the
Park
county
wasn't gonna allow
property.
that either.
I think that fell through too because of Park Service.
It's funny, because this has really been looked at, I showed Penny, I found some books from 1975,
They
where
talked
they
about
actually
that
did
day.
studies in the borough of Milford, that they actually wanted to do a sewer treatment plant in 1975, it was voted down. But in 75, they really were pushing to have it then, and how cheap it would have
Well, they
been.
wanted to do it in 09 or 08 or something. too,
Well,
wasn't there?
there's 4 different times, 85 was another one, but they kept shooting it down because they said it was too expensive. What they didn't realize is how expensive it is now.
Mine's at Mobile.
Too bad in 1975 they didn't do it. Anyway, moving along,
If I can just, I know you jumped off the
Mine's
public
down.
comment to circle back to something you had
Yes.
asked.
yes.
I pulled this article from the Pocono Record off the DEPG Facebook page, and I've asked this board several times before if you have a position on a tax increment finance district. Shahan, do you want to
A
know?
what?
But this is an
TIF.
article about the
TIF.
Marshalls Creek development that DEPG is doing. And if you notice on the bottom of page 2, it specifically talks about using a TIF district in Marshalls Creek. And I really think that this board should become acquainted with what a TIF district is and prepare yourselves for the possibility that this question is going to come to you. And you should be familiar with how it works and what it does. And that's why I wanted to bring this to your attention specifically. This article is from October of 2018. It's the article is titled Gateway Clears Hurdle, and it's talking about the approvals that were done in Monroe County, just to our south for the TIF district. Interaction?
No, not directly with the TIF, but I've worked with other municipal solicitors that have. I was not the principal solicitor for the city, actually, that did it.
Mhm.
I was a consultant on that job.
Okay.
But, yes, I have.
So earlier this evening, a number of times, the concept was floated that the number one benefit to our community from a potential development through the zoning amendment is tax rateables. So just, realize that if this tool is implemented, those rateables get devoted to the economic development aspect, and not necessarily just from one specific project. It could be anything in the district. Anything in the district as the TIF district itself is defined. So I really implore you to take a look at this. I will bring you some documents at future meetings that reference an understanding of what a TIF district is and how it functions. But I really think it's very important for you all to acquaint yourself with this concept in case it comes knocking on your door in the near future.
Okay.
Probably will be.
And the TIF district, just so everybody understands, okay, and I'm going to simplify this. This was brought up to me by a previous chairman here about 6 months ago. Okay, that would be, the district would probably be from Milford Borough to the Westfall Township line, and it would center on those facilities where the sewage pipe is going to run through, because now those properties are worth more money because of the sewage pipe servicing those areas. They're more valuable on the land. You can do TIF districts different ways. Another one is because they get the sewage in that property, you can tax them on that. I've always said I'm against taxing people. We are doing fine in Milford Township. I hate to tax. Commercial rates are different than residential. We don't have the tax person here tonight, but they are different. They pay a higher rate than what we pay. So what you'd be doing is putting an additional tax on them. And what ends up happening, and I understand Rachel, and I understand where she's going with the TIF district, and she's looking at future taxes and whatnot. I just don't like taxing anybody or a TIF district on anybody, because it is an additional percentage.
No,
that
it
they would have to-
actually is not, Gary. We've been over this before. A TIF district devotes the increase in taxes post-development to pre-development. So in other words, if you took a development like the Santos project, and before the TIF district, you received tax money from that property as a green field, probably with an agricultural or clean and green reduced tax rate. And then the development invests, let's say, $15 million or $20 million into your various aspects of this multi-use development. Now your tax is based on the new value with the improvements on the property. So the new tax between where the old tax was and the new tax, not increasing, not adding a tax, just from the new development, that is the tax money that would be devoted to the activity of the TIF district, which could be infrastructure, but it can be used in other areas of the country. It's been used for a lot of different things. Keeping a control over what it's being used for is one of the things that TIF districts have been criticized over. Ensuring that there's transparency for how it's happening and what's happening. They can be in place for as long as 20 years. And in those cases, that increase in property taxes does not go into the regular municipal budget. It gets devoted to the TIF district. So you just want to acquaint yourselves with this project, and this is from the developer who brought you this specific amendment and asked you to do it in another area. They have implored this tool, and they indicate in there that they could not do it, they couldn't have done that project were it not for the TIF district. That is actually one of the state requirements. They call it a but-for clause, that you must have some catalyst that requires that if you don't do this improvement, then the project can't go through. So, and you're almost creating one with the zoning amendment, because they can't do the development without the sewer. So now you're generating the opportunity to say, but for the sewer infrastructure, we would not have this development, right? So there you have the catalyst to come to the table. And we heard the developer, when they spoke at the public hearing, saying that, they had not necessarily considered a TIF district, okay? That doesn't mean that it won't come to the table later on down the line. We also heard them say they didn't want to pay for the sewer, and we heard you say you don't want to pay for the sewer either. And when I hear that from both sides, what clicks in my mind is that people would look at a TIF district and be able to say, well, I was going to, on the developer side, I was going to pay the taxes anyway, I have no choice. On the other side, you're saying, well, we wouldn't have had those increased taxes. That's not necessarily true, because development can come without the TIF district. But I think this is a tool that's complicated, that we're not used to seeing in this area, and I would just like to ask you to keep an eye out for it, educate yourselves on what it is and how it works before it comes knocking on your door.
And yes, I will, matter of fact, really brush up on it, because the other side of the TIF district that I saw was actually, it would be for all properties along that. It would not be for just a new development. It would be for all properties.
Right, it would be the increase in taxes on any property. So the only way you're going to get an increase in taxes is you're going to have a reassessment, right, which the county isn't likely to do in the near-term future, or you're going to have some type of a project on the property. Right, so if you're in the district and you expand your building because now you have sewer infrastructure, or because there's an influx of new traffic in the area that helps your business, then that increase in taxes would be devoted to the TIF district. Right, so, and it is as defined when the district itself is created, as far as the location, how much of an area is put in that area. But I think, I think this question may come to you, and I think you should be educated about it before it comes to you.
And any infrastructure that the township would not do for any of the developments on the 3-lane, I want everybody to know that. We would not spend a dime on anybody through here. And the reason why is there's nothing the township owns in this area. The township roads and everything else is more residential and back that way. So the only thing that we get from development on the 3-lane or Route 6 is their tax dollars. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's the God's honest truth. Now, if you say put that in a separate pot and we're going to dedicate that to separate things, I don't know. Everybody here can go in at any time and look at that budget, can look at where the money's being spent. And I'm not totally against your idea, Rachel. Trust me, I am not.
In no way do I want you to infer that I am suggesting that the township do a TIF district.
It's a lot more complicated than...
Yeah, it's very complicated.
being...
We actually, 6 months ago, were looking at what you're talking about, and that's why I said it just doesn't involve one property, it involves them all, and it got very complicated. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what I was always told when I was a kid? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Listen, we have a budget. Everybody can go in and look at where the money's going. You can look at every last dime, okay? And you can say, okay, it's going here, going there, to make sure there's no misuse. We get checked every year. We pay $4,000 to have it checked. And like I said, I think we're doing very well. So, don't change something that works, what they always say. If it works, don't change it. Like I said, future, you can, whatever you want. But right now, I just say, stick with what works. You're gonna end up paying a lot more taxes because the value is gonna be up on anything along the three lane. We already know that because it's got a new construction. Anyway, moving on. But like I said, point well taken, Rachel. Trust me, point well taken. Anybody else so I can move along here? Okay, make a motion that we pay the bills and adjourn.
Also,
All in favor? Done.
that's weird.
So that's what Duke is.
That's what it is.
Okay, because that's one of the areas that